Some people say that money is the source of all evil by pointing out how much violence people do to themselves in order to get it. Others say that not money, but the fear for not being able to pay bills or take care of your family because you don't have enough money is what makes people do bad things. Still, experience shows that people who have more than enough are often greedy and act immorally, while many poor people are kind and generous. Hello everyone, welcome to Success Wisdom. In this video, we're going to talk about does money buy happiness? If you're new to this channel, do like and subscribe to the channel. Money and people seem to have a complicated relationship. For example, some people say that money can't buy happiness because happiness comes from within or from things that money can't buy, like love, friendship, inner peace, and purpose. Others say that money can definitely buy happiness because it can pay for fun things like traveling the world or going to festivals and concerts. Also, if you have enough money, you can retire and live without the stress of working a job and not being able to afford the cost of living. It's not surprising that the question, does money buy happiness, often sparks endless debates with no clear answers. Still, money is what makes the world go around. Except for a very small number of people, we all need money to live. But how we handle money and how we feel about its worth are not the same. Some people get by with little, while others are always wasting money. Some people are happy with a modest salary and a cheap way of life, while others have millions, live in luxury, and still want more. So it looks like how happy you are has nothing to do with how much money you have. But does that mean you can't buy happiness with money? No, not always. Research and the ideas of some philosophers, like Epicurus and Schopenhauer, show that money can buy happiness. You just have to know how to spend it. There are prices for a lot of things in life, from necessities like food and water to very expensive things like a $17 million Rolex. But when it comes to happiness, not all purchases are worth the money. Since some are too expensive for how much happiness they bring, Epicurus' ideas about pleasure could help us figure out what the best purchases are. This ancient Greek philosopher made a distinction between natural and meaningless desires, which we talked about more in the video, the philosophy of pleasure. Epicurus makes a distinction between natural desires that are necessary and those that are not. Hunger, thirst, and the need to rest and sleep are natural needs that are also necessary for survival. We naturally want things like expensive food, lots of friends, and sexual encounters, but we don't need them to live. But we don't need vain wants to live, and they aren't natural. For example, who needs a Rolex that costs $17 million? It doesn't meet any natural needs. People want it because of what they think about it. Does money buy happiness? We think a pricey watch will make us happy, probably because of good advertising or because our friends tell us so. Also, like hunger and thirst, the desire for expensive things can never be satisfied. When we spend a lot of money on something we don't need, we get bored quickly. Also, these pleasures don't have a natural limit, so we tend to want more of them after we get them. On top of that, a person who needs such expensive things walks a hard path full of constant stress and worry because he is afraid of losing what he wants or not getting it. He also has to stress and work hard to get what he wants. Also, a person who gets very rich makes a target out of himself. Epicurus says that we don't need meaningless wants to be happy, but we also need to satisfy our natural needs. Compared to most vain pleasures, these kinds of pleasures are cheap and easy to get. How many meals and drinks can you buy with $17 million? Most likely more than we will ever need. Epicurus stated, natural wealth is limited and easily obtained. The wealth defined by vain fancies is always beyond reach, end quote. Even though the $17 million Rolex is an extreme example, Epicurus' main point is that happiness doesn't come from having more money, but from having what you want. And that the easiest way to keep one's desire satisfied is to keep them small and easy to meet. So, giving in to useless wants to find happiness isn't a good idea. The juice just isn't worth the squeeze. A Harvard study also found that buying a lot of small pleasures is better than buying a few big ones. Needing money to live is one of the most stressful things in life. For most people, this means working a job. But if you have enough money, you won't have to work to stay alive. This means you won't have to worry about finding a job. We could live by Epicurus' ideas, but that doesn't mean we don't have to work and trade our time and bodies for money. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Many people are happy to work for money because it pays their bills, lets them buy things they want, and gives them time to do the things they enjoy. But for some people, giving up a lot of their time and energy for money makes them unhappy. They would rather do something else with that time, like study philosophy or make art. These people wouldn't just use money to buy fun things, they'd also use it to buy time. Like Epicurus, the philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer says that there are different kinds of pleasure. He called the lower pleasures movements of the will, which are always satisfied at the cost of pain. For example, playing cards, going to a horse race, and all kinds of fun that wake up the senses are all movements of the will. But he thought about the highest pleasures of the mind, such as thinking, observing, meditating, liking poetry or music, learning, reading, coming up with new ideas, thinking about philosophy, and other things like that. This kind of inner wealth doesn't cost much in terms of money or physical energy, but time is the one asset you need to enjoy the highest pleasures. I quote, "The man of inner wealth wants nothing from outside but the negative gift of undisturbed leisure to develop and mature his intellectual faculties, that is, to enjoy his wealth. In short, he wants permission to be himself, his whole life long, every day and every hour." End quote. Buying time is a good use of money for anyone who values leisure over material things, not just smart people. Before we continue on with our topic, does money buy happiness? If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Researchers at the University of British Columbia did a survey that seems to show that using money to buy time makes people happier with their lives. For example, we can buy time by hiring someone to clean our homes or cook for us. Sometimes we make enough money to make up for the pain of having to work. For instance, we could hire someone else to do the work we need to do to make money or live off investments. We call this financial freedom in this day and age. Being financially free doesn't mean being filthy rich. It means having enough money to live the way you want. Money lets us live a life where we spend most of our time on intellectual pursuits or enjoy the simple pleasures that Epicurus liked. Many, if not most, people need to be frugal in order to have enough money to retire and keep up the necessary capital. The less money we need and the easier it is to be financially free, the less we spend. Schopenhauer also said that we should see our wealth as a way to protect ourselves from things that could harm us and not spend it as quickly as we earn it. I quote, "If a man has an independent fortune, he should regard it as a bulwark against the many evils and misfortunes which he may encounter. He should not look upon it as giving him leave to get what pleasure he can out of the world, or as rendering it incumbent upon him to spend it in this way. No matter what your situation is, let's say you have a budget that you can spend however you want. How should I best spend it? Should you go shopping and buy stuff, or are there better, more satisfying ways to spend your money? How you spend your money is, of course, up to you. But research shows that spending money on experiences is more rewarding in the long run than buying things. Aptych Terhuis, a Dutch professor and author of several books about happiness, found that spending money on experiences like travel makes people happy. Dr. Thomas Gilovich, a professor of psychology, did a 20-year study that showed that doing things makes you happier than owning things. In an article on Forbes, Gilovich gives 3 reasons why experiences make people happier than things. The first reason is that we quickly get used to new things. For example, buying a new car can be fun at first, but the excitement wears off quickly and having a car becomes normal. Second, we continue to raise the bar. Once we get used to the car, we start looking for something better. So buying material things only makes us happy for a short time. What we once wanted and then worked hard to get loses its ability to make us happy. Hence, Epicurus once stated, "Do not spoil what you have by desiring what you have not." Remember that what you now have was once among the things you only hoped for. End quote. Third, Gilovich says that having things means making comparisons. People often look at what they have and compare it to what other people have. If your friend buys a better car, your new car might lose value, which might make you want to move out. The paradox of possessions is the mistaken belief that things are more fun because they are more permanent and solid than experiences. Why is it that investments in experiences bring more happiness than investments in things? After all, things like TVs, cars, and houses last for years, but things like going on a trip or to a concert only last for a short time. Research shows that having experiences makes happiness last longer. The anticipation, the purchase, the experience itself, and the memories we keep for the rest of our lives are all part of the fun. Also, unlike things, experiences become a part of who you are and can't be taken away from you. Also, we can compare things and experiences the same way. Experiences are personal and unique, so it's hard to say how much they're worth. So, the experiences of others won't quickly make our own seem less important. You can also buy happiness by spending money to make other people happy, in addition to buying time and experiences. In many religions, giving is an important part of the faith. Charity is one of the 7 heavenly virtues in Christianity. So it's not surprising that many charity organizations have their roots in Christianity. The zakat is the way Muslims give money to those in need. It is part of the 5 pillars, which are the most important parts of Islam. Generosity, which is also called DNA in Theravada Buddhism, is one of the 10 perfections, which are good traits that a Buddhist works on while on the Buddhist path. But giving makes us feel good in ways that have nothing to do with religion, spirituality, or morals. Research from the University of British Columbia by Professor Elizabeth Dunn shows that giving money to charity makes us happier. But there is a catch. In an interview for Boston University Radio, Dunn says that how we give is just as important as giving itself when it comes to how happy we feel. She talks about a few key ingredients that turn good deeds into good feelings. I quote, "The first one is connection. We're more likely to experience joy from helping others if we really feel connected with the people or the cause that we're helping. Second one is impact. If we can see the difference that our good deeds are making, that seems to really unlock the emotional benefits of generosity. And finally, there's choice. The quickest way to strip the joy of giving away is to make people feel like they've been forced to give," end quote. Money can buy happiness through charity if we give it to people we care about and choose to help. Postdoctoral researcher at Leiden University, Mara van der Molen says that giving has both short-term and long-term benefits. I quote, "In the short term, this gives us a positive feeling. In the scientific world, it's known as the warm glow of giving. It has benefits in the longer term too, because it strengthens the relationships with the recipient. And if you have a close bond with someone, they will be more likely to help you if you get into difficulties sometime in the future," end quote. She also says that research shows that people like you more if you're kind, and that having a lot of friends makes you happier than being alone. But each person's happiness is affected by giving in a different way. Some people just don't feel happy when they give something to someone else. This could be because of their personality, what they went through as a child, or family traditions. To sum up, money can buy happiness if it is spent in the right way. The best things to spend money on seem to be simple pleasures, time, pleasant experiences, and other people. We've reached the end of another video, and thank you for watching. I hope you have learned, does money buy happiness? If you like this video, do give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below. Thank you, and goodbye.